I'm sure you've seen me before. I'm the Dorman Usher. Or is it Usher Dorman?
How to be a doorman usher. The first essential in being a doorman usher is the correct equipment. A movie theater, a doorman stand, people to tear tickets for, and a flashlight that works. Of primary importance is the uniform, a blue or brown UA shirt with a gold stripe and patch, or a brown or blue vest over a white shirt. Always, when you have your uniform top on, you must have a name tag or you're not in full uniform. You'll also need dark pants. Color depends on your manager's discretion. And of course, last but not least, shoes. It is advisable to wear comfortable shoes. Comfortable enough to wiggle your toes. These shoes must be clean, closed-toed, and match the rest of the attire. After all, clothes do make the man, or woman. If you are the first doorman of the day, it is your responsibility to find out the opening ticket numbers. Your box office either distributes these tickets from the automatic ticket machine or these tickets from the Pacer machine. Check the ticket numbers. Whatever number you start with is the opening ticket number. Every ticket you tear should have a number larger than the opening ticket number. This is used not only to keep count of how many tickets are sold each day, but also to keep out people who purchased tickets at a previous time to enter today. The doorman must also know the feature times, location of the features in which auditorium, and the running times of the features. That's how long the movie lasts. Most of this information is located on paper at your doorman stand. It is most convenient to keep the paper on top of the doorman stand. Upon reaching the doorman stand, you must remember to stand up straight, directly behind the stand. This means no leaning on the stand, and no loitering in the lobby. The gift of greeting and informing. And now we come to the approach. Always approach the customers with a pleasant attitude. The first thing to keep in mind when greeting a customer is to keep the conversation short and sweet. Greet the patrons with a simple welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Tear the ticket in half, put one half in the stand, and give the other one back to the patron. Now direct the patron to the correct auditorium.
Revenge of the Nerds, really good movie. Go right down the hall, first door on the right.
The doorman must realize
Enjoy.
that their contact with patrons is very important. When greeting the public, you should be warm, friendly, and polite, yet
Hello.
firm when necessary.
Should. Starts in 10 minutes. Go right down the hall, first door on the left. Enjoy it.
You're not working a funeral home, so let's put some enthusiasm into it, shall we?
Okay.
The art of admittance. It is the doorman's responsibility to tear tickets at the perforated edge. Deposit half of the ticket into the ticket stand and return the stub to the patron. The stub is to ensure re-entry if the patron leaves the auditorium for any reason. At this time, it is important to watch for the correct ticket number, the date, the feature, and the feature time on each ticket collected. Once you get the hang of this, hopefully you'll be able to check each ticket quickly without holding up the line. Remember, at no time should the doorman end up with a whole ticket. Also be sure that no adults have children's tickets, and that children, 2 or over, have tickets. The skill of signing in. Everyone who enters the theater, beyond the doorman stand, that is, with the exception of employees who are actually working, must sign in if they have no ticket. You see, everyone who enters without a ticket must be documented. Have them move to the side so that the ticket holders can pass. Occasions whereby you admit someone by signing them in are If a person needs to see a manager, and the manager has already told you that he or she was expected, never send a person up to the office alone, or when the manager is unaware of a visitor.
He's expecting you, I remember.
If a parent is looking for a child, or for that matter, any person looking for another person, have them sign in. But in any circumstance, never accept a deposit like a license for entry. The maintenance crew, delivery men, or the people who fix the game machines, they all must sign in too. A person buying something from the concession stand, or someone needs to use the bathroom. No matter how bad you gotta go, pal, you still gotta sign in.
Right there.
Other theater employees not working at this time. And in Dallas, patrons with a yellow employee pass. All other passes should be redeemed at the box office for a ticket. If you don't know what to do with a pass that's presented to you, read it. It should say. If not, check with the box office cashier on duty. All passes are posted in the box office with a policy explanation. It's important to remember theater policy. Everything must be documented. One last thing about passes. Promotional letters from, for example, a radio station may be accepted either at your stand or at the box office. Check with your manager before showtime. Also, check to see how many each ticket will admit. The concept of controlling traffic. It's the doorman's job to help form lines in front of the box office for those people purchasing tickets. For safety purposes, lines should be directed away from the street and kept on the sidewalk. When tickets have already been purchased for a feature, lines can be formed at the doorman's stand or at the entrance to the auditorium. Again, this depends upon the configuration of your theater. One of the most important things in handling big business is to start your lines early. This means as soon as you even get as few as 4 customers, immediately start lining them up where you are directed to by the management. After a small crowd gathers, it's next to impossible to form a line. Everybody wants to be first then. This could create bad feelings toward the theater from the people who were actually first. Just before a feature lets out, a doorman should be positioned immediately outside the auditorium doors. He or she is to open the doors as the movie ends and the credits begin to roll. After which, the doorman watches the crowd to make sure the moviegoers have all exited. However, unless we are selling out, we permit late patrons to stay and see what they've missed. During sellouts, we post a sign at the box office advising patrons the auditoriums will be cleared. Now, as the audience is parading from the feature, you must be sure they don't parade into another feature. Doorman ushers are placed in key locations to facilitate the exiting procedure. This lessens the chance of people sneaking into other auditoriums. Watch out for those regular customers who like to spend the whole day at the movies for the price of one ticket. If you become suspicious, check a person's ticket stub. The doorman is also responsible for being aware of emergency procedures. For instance, while remaining calm should there be a fire, the doorman should stand at the front of the auditorium, pointing to the exits, encouraging patrons to walk, not run, to avoid panic. Ask the management for other emergency procedures. For example, power failures, tornadoes, and, of course, customer accidents. They will vary from theater to theater depending on what the layout of your building is, or was. The scoop on seating. Make sure patrons go into the correct auditorium. It would be wise to stop a young kid from going into an R-rated movie. Although it's the box office cashier's responsibility to sell the correct ticket, you are second in line to enforce the rules. All patrons must have on shoes and a shirt or they will not be allowed to enter the theater. No shoes, no shirt, no service. Be aware of the seating situation during busy rushes. It is important for you to keep the cashier aware of the seating arrangement to avoid overselling tickets. In a crowded auditorium, the doorman may need to help seat patrons. In a sellout situation, a few seats may be empty in the middle of rows. These seats can and should be used. Tactfully ask patrons to move down a seat so that a party can sit together. Stay stand to motion the patrons forward, but then squat so as to not block others' view. Doormen also must be aware of the areas designated for wheelchairs, which does not include the aisles or the doorways. Special attention and assistance should be given to handicapped individuals. The facts on features. After each feature begins, a doorman should enter the auditorium and check for the following. Is the film framed properly? This is what it looks like if the film is out of frame. Is the film sound too loud or soft? Is the film in focus? Is there any disturbing behavior going on in the auditorium? Is the temperature comfortable? Are the exit doors shut properly? Keep an eye out for crying babies, loud, unruly patrons, patrons with their feet on the seats, smokers, and be sure to keep an eye out for any suspicious behavior. If you can correct any of these problems yourself, do so. If not, contact the management or someone in the projection booth. All these things should be checked out about every 15 to 20 minutes. Periodically, the doorman should walk down the aisle to the front row and then walk back to the rear of the auditorium, scanning as she goes. This will act as a deterrent to smokers, loud talkers, etc. When the feature ends, open the auditorium doors. Make sure the auditorium music does go on. The craft of cleaning. The doorman is responsible for cleaning 4 major areas: the lobby, the bathrooms, the auditoriums, and in certain situations, landscaped areas. We'll begin with the lobby. Using a broom and/or a vacuum, doormen are responsible for cleaning around the concession stand and the doorman stand as needed. Pick up any trash left around the lobby. You are also responsible for mopping up spills and sweeping up popcorn droppings. Make sure all the lights are working. Ashtrays must be emptied. Be careful not to empty live cigarettes into the trash can. If your ashtrays have sand, sift out the garbage. When needed, replace the old sand with new sand. The game machines definitely need to be kept clean. So should the posters and the poster frames. And as long as you've got the Windex out, we've got to clean the windows and doors too, especially around the box office. Check the carpet periodically to make sure it's in good shape. There should be no pieces sticking up that could be dangerous to a patron walking by. When the trash bags become too full, empty them. Remember, always replace the old liner with a new one. Full trash bags should be taken to the dumpster throughout the day to prevent leaking on the floor. At least once a week, the trash cans should be washed out. The beef on bathrooms. Bathrooms are another of the doorman's responsibilities. They should be checked at 30-minute intervals or at specific times scheduled by the management. If necessary, you need to do the things like clean the mirrors and the counters. And make sure there's toilet paper in each stall. Check the level of the soap in each dispenser and replace it if necessary. Make sure there are paper towels available. Make certain there is no trash on the counter or on the floor. And check the stalls for trash also. Check every one of them. Might want to pick that up. And flush the toilets as needed. Make a quick graffiti check. If you see some, clean it then. Check to see that the trash can is full. If so, you must empty it. The bathroom's appearance should remain tidy at all times. The angle on auditoriums. There are many game plans for cleaning an auditorium after a feature ends. This job must be done quickly and properly to avoid any accidents. It's the doorman's responsibility to see that this job gets done, whether he does it himself or other employees do it. The key 3 factors in this game plan are to get the job done quickly and properly, the job must get done, and cooperation with fellow employees.
Now, before you clean the auditorium, the first thing you should do is close the doors. Then start walking down the auditorium. If it's shaped like this, work the side aisles first, Working back toward the center. Keep a trash can conveniently placed. Remember, pick up all large trash and mop up the spills. Work down the auditorium toward the front. Come back up doing the same thing both ways. Once again, the trash can is conveniently placed. Remember, this is easier to do if you have a partner, but if not, work as quickly and efficiently as possible till the entire auditorium is clean.
Check for broken or damaged seats and lights that have burned out. Be sure to watch for glass or a mess that might endanger a patron. Get it cleaned up or inform the management. After the auditorium has been cleaned, sweep the aisles and put the large trash cans away. Then make sure that no equipment has been left in the auditorium that might injure a patron. This cleaning routine is to be done between every feature. The in-on inspection cards. The inspection card is to be completed by the doorman or management 3 times a day. Pre-opening, midday, and pre-closing. However, if there is a special show, such as a 10 o'clock kids show or a midnight show, then it should be 4 times a day instead of 3. Once before the special show, then as normally scheduled. This inspection card must be dated and initialed. The time that the inspection took place should be on the card as well. This is the public's insurance that our theater is safe when they enter, as well as our insurance to document how well we care for our facility. This becomes a useful tool should lawsuits occur. If you discover anything wrong or broken during your inspection, note it on the inspection card. If you repair it, note that too and inform the management. At the end of the day, the tickets need to be sacked. The bag must be dated as well as having the doorman's signature and the theater's name somewhere on the bag. Then this sack and the sign-in sheet need to be taken up to the office. You will also notice that at your theater, there will be a closing list of jobs for the doorman to complete before leaving the theater. Make sure these are all completed before leaving. Everything you wanted to know, but were afraid to ask. At some theaters, the doorman is responsible for enforcing the rating policy by checking IDs. If this is the case, use your discretion and tact.
Sorry. Really have to do it. Enjoy the movie.
The doorman may also be responsible for informing patrons about promotions and or handing out coupons, like these used at the concession stand. The doorman is to check the marquee and change it weekly. Obviously, of course, if the features change. No outside food is allowed in the auditoriums. Beware of bottles, cans, and fast food bags. This food may only be consumed in the lobby. If you have patrons who bring food into the theater, make them aware that it must be consumed before they enter the auditorium. Handle this diplomatically on an individual basis. You people know that you can eat this in here, but you can't take it in the auditorium, okay? If you want to do this, can you clean up when you're finished? Okay. Again, only concession stand food is allowed in the auditoriums. Check the ticket stand for a flashlight. It should be there. Make sure it works. You may need it sooner than you expected. The doorman should never leave her stand unattended. There should always be at least one person at the stand. It is your job to be personable and answer questions, or contact the manager when there is a complaint. Be sure to watch and make certain that the promotion posters don't go walking out the theater door. If someone sits on gum, notify the manager. Remember, we do not have a paging system.
I'll go and contact the manager. Wait a minute, I'll get somebody.
Notify a manager if a patron injures himself or if a patron might need to be ejected from the theater. Watch the parking lot. This could lessen the chance of theft and vandalism and the reselling of tickets. Be polite to patrons as they leave the theater, and notify the manager if any small kids are hanging around the theater at closing time. It might be a good idea to have the kids give Mom a call.
If you have any questions about your responsibilities as doorman usher, now is the time to ask. your manager. Tomorrow may just be